Hi, hi everyone. Good morning, um, and namaste everyone to the session. So I'm basically from India, and I would like to introduce myself. Um Basically, I'm a front-end engineer and a UI consultant right now, working at Digital Polygon with over 5 years of experience into Drupal arena. I've worked into different organizations before, including Acquia and Segen. Um, okay, so talking about me, there are like some fun facts which I would like to tell about me. I basically like to explore into UX research. I've done my production into music and remixes, which I usually upload on SoundCloud. And also, I like to write. Basically, I written a book last 2 years back, and I'll be publishing a new book probably next year. Um, these are basically some of the facts about me. So I would like, um, like those who are attending um, to go to this link, and we can just play a small game, just a 2 minute game which we can play. Yeah. So and search and try, and you can add any answer into it and add any GIF into it, and you can submit the answer. And once it's submitted, you'll be able to vote others GIF whatever they have uploaded, and then we one which is voted maximum to that will win. So let's just try with that game. So yeah, can everyone see that question after entering your name? So we'll get this question over there. So I'll just write how it's set. So if we search over here, we'll get some gifts over here. So we can basically submit the gift. This gift. Yeah. So I think I see two people are searching. So so you can search any GIF, whatever you like. You can just add it, and you can submit it. You can click on any GIF. So I see two people are still searching. So you can whatever you like, you can just add over there, and then we can vote which is the funnier of all the. Yeah, there are two people left. I see two people are searching. Yeah. Maybe you can give them a half a minute or two. Let's search. So if suppose you're not able to see the GIF, you can refresh the page. At times it happens. The GIFs are not loaded properly. Yeah. person is still searching. You can just add that GIF, whatever you find, you can just add it. Should I start? I'm still waiting for one person. Still searching. Um, okay, let me start. So now you'll be able to see some of the GIFs on the screen. So you can vote any of one which you like. And so let's say I'm voting for this one which I like the most. So it's the character, yeah. So of course I like that. So I have voted for that, and all of you can vote which you guys like. So yeah, so we have a timer over here, which is 1 minute 30 seconds. And, yeah, so we can wait till then. So this timer, we can't reduce it because it's an ongoing thing. So yeah, we have to wait for 1 minute, and then um, yeah, let's wait for 1 minute, and everyone, you just have to click on either of the gifts which you guys like. So this is actually a fun game to increase the bond in your in our offices. Yeah, so we have 26 seconds left. So we'll know who's the winner now in 20 seconds. Okay. Okay, so we have two votes. So Joel got one vote, Atlas got one vote. Travis and Cassie, no votes. It's fine. So we have a winner over here, which is me, and second is Joel, and third is Atlas. Yeah. So yes. So it was a starter, just a teaser about the event which are starting now. Okay. So for today, the checklist for this section is I'll start with some of the basics of Drupal theming and its foundation since its start, and we'll know about tools which we can use as a Drupal frontender, and I'll touch base on some of the aspects of Site Studio, Pattern Lab, and Storybook, and we'll learn different types of decoupling architecture which we have, and then lastly we'll learn about accessibility challenge in real world, and basic tools which, as a front ender, we can use to increase the accessibility or to check the accessibility of a site. So let's begin. Yeah. So um, this is a code which I have framed about the Drupal theming. So Drupal theming is an art of choosing a theme by overriding contract theme and making necessary changes in order to deliver the site as required. And believe me, it makes way more interesting, and it's not just about coding HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So we consider Drupal is just about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and there's nothing else. So during Drupal 7 and Drupal 8, when it was initially the theming was popular during that time, we normally we used to think like, yeah, if I'm a front ender, then the only thing which I can do is about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript only. That's the main thing in Drupal. But in Drupal, that was limited to earlier editions. Let's say Drupal 6, 7, 8. At that time, that was the thing, because at that time the technology was not that advanced, and there were no much of other skill sets which was required, and just the basic knowledge of this three, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, was enough to do Drupal theming. So this I have. There are two links just for ones who are like starters into Drupal. They can go through the links, and even Drupalize.me is one of the best guidelines. So even I, as a developer, usually refer to Drupalize.me for if I want to revise something which I have learned before. So this was the early phase of Drupal, which was limited to just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So, so the prerequisite of Drupal theming was this four main things, which were Sass, Gulp, Twig, and jQuery, and of course, which is JavaScript. That's on top of jQuery. Um, so these four were the essential things during that phase till Drupal 8, Drupal 9. Even now, we use this as a basic core foundation while developing, while theming our Drupal site. Apart from this, there are other packages as well. Nowadays, we use Yarn and Grunt as well. It depends on the project and what we are using. So this were the basic foundation in Drupal theming. Um, so as we progressed, there were many other things which came into the front end world, which is not alone, which is not only Drupal. But there were other things as well which was introduced. So I'll be discussing all about this in detail. So I'll just so this diagram actually represents what all other things are, how Drupal has evolved over the phase of phase. And so let's say there's a pattern layer, so there was a pattern layer there, and there's a storybook, there's a site studio, and then this is the decoupled architecture, which is used in Drupal. So let's start with pattern lab and storybook. So what is pattern lab and storybook? So both are essentially component-driven libraries, which gives us more flexibility to implement the Drupal theming at a more granular level. So with granular level, we can say that there is a concept called atomic design, which is implemented into both pattern lab and storybook in a more robust way. So when we are theming a particular page in Drupal, we usually consider that as a whole template, and we don't categorize each of those into a component. So in order to do that, we take the help from Pattern Lab or Storybook, which makes life easy in a way. So I'll explain more this in the following slides. Yeah, so we have this atomic design principles. So I'll just go through the atomic design principles. So this is one of the popular Bradford blog which I use, which to learn more about the atomic design. So basically, what is atomic design? So it consists of five core components in it, which is atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and pages. So so in science, we know atoms are the smallest part of on this in this entire universe. So then atoms, and from atoms, if we gather two or more atoms, it becomes a molecule. That's one component. And then if we combine two or more molecules, that becomes an organism. So that's how the phase is. So that similar concept has been used in the Drupal, not just Drupal, in any other component-driven architecture. Yeah. So this is a blog where it explains in detail how what is atom and what is molecule, what is organism, and it's divided into many. So it gives, so let's say this is an organism which consists of one atom, and these are molecules. This is one molecule club. This is one molecule club. So it's clubbed into one organism. So so it gives an proper example, and we can understand and we can relate to our existing sites. Yeah. So this is very uh, so next we'll check about the reusability. Um, So yeah, this blog explains about the UI components and what is a component, and what all things are used in a component. And let's say it composes of colors, icons, typography, shadows, and many such things. So these are the basic principles which are used in Pattern Lab and Storybook. So there are various blogs which are there on which explains more in detail about molecule, what is pattern lab and what's the difference between both. So basically book robust in React, Angular. So I'm just opening an example of Storybook. So this is a storybook of a Audi site. So it's actually this is one of my favorite storybook of Audi site, because they have defined style guide in such a way that if a normal person who is coming to develop, he'll able to understand what is there and what all components have been created and what are the guidelines, etc. So if we go through this site, basically we'll able to like know the variations of each buttons, the states and the sizes. Okay. Um, okay, I'm just uh, hope you guys were able to see the things which right now till atoms, like till pattern lab and storybook. So these are some of the examples in pattern lab and storybook. So I'll be sharing all of these links at the end of the session. so that everyone can take a look what is it and uh, what all things can be used. So basically, in the current company which I'm working, we have created a blog on Storybook itself, which is a step-by-step process. What we have to do to get our Storybook running in our Drupal site. So yeah, so this is basically it involves from the creating the Storybook folder and till the initialization part and how we have to create a component in Storybook. So those can be so this blog can be very useful for a starter who wants to use Storybook uh, into their project. So next is Site Studio. So what is Site Studio? Site Studio is basically a non-coding component-driven platform where we need not write a single line of code. So, like not writing single line of code, it actually means that we are not writing any HTML, CSS, or JavaScript here. We are everything is there in the Site Studio, and so I'll be just demoing what Site Studio exactly is, and yeah. So there are. Let me open this site for you guys. So this is a Site Studio page, which is a component driven as well. So we have different components defined for each of those. So I'll just show the components. There is so so we have this website settings where we can actually add the color palette, font settings, font libraries, icon libraries, and we can set everything over here with website settings. And we have these components where we can actually create components which can be used in each of those content types. So this is an home page. I can just show you this home page how we have created using Dev Studio. So these are all components. Some of them are inbuilt and some of them are custom built. So we have this block slider, for example, which is using a slider component inside, which we have created in the components. So I can just show you the structure for now. So we have this layout style, we have content, so we can add our color or we can add these options. So these options are created by us, like it doesn't require any coding to do this. So that's the main part of Dev Studio. So there's no single line of code required, uh, yeah, in Dev Studio. Yes. So that's about Drupal Site Studio. So Um, there are various tools available as a front ender, which we can actually use in our day-to-day life when we are developing something. So I've added those over here in the extension part, if you see. So I'll explain what each of those tool does. So Wave tool. So Wave tool is basically used for checking the accessibility of the site. So if a particular image tag doesn't have a is missing a particular attribute, then it would highlight in that particular case. Then we have what font. So what font is basically used to check what font we have used for a particular component or particular page. It shows everything in terms of font properties like line height, the font weight, font family, and those things. So I'll be demoing this in a few minutes. And we have this lorem ipsum generator. So basically, this is used for the if we want to add a dummy content on our page, then we need not go and check for dummy content. We can just add a logarithm generator and we can copy paste that content. And second, the fourth one is page ruler. Basically, page ruler is used for checking the checking against the design. So we have created a page and we want to check the spacing between each component or between each a padding or margin. If you want to check that, we can use the page ruler. So this is basically used by testers mostly because they use this to check whether the design is the what we have made is according to the design. And fifth one is the color picker. So color picker is also used by us and as well as by QA to check what exact color we have used. The hexa code, it gives us a hexa code which we can check with the designs provided by the designer. And the last one is read aloud. So read aloud is basically used for uh, to read out the text. But this would help in the tab indexing part where when we are using this, it would read the text in exact order and we'll be able to know from which section of the page it's reading. So let's say there's one H1, there's a H2 and H3. But suppose H1, it's reading the H1 part, but it's not reading the H3, then there's something issue in terms of the hierarchy, and that's where the semantic part comes in. So this particular read aloud is used basically for in terms of accessibility as well to make our site AA compliant. So if you guys have any questions, you can post it in the chat. I can take a look then with the session. So till here, we have learned the tools. Yeah, we have a gist of Site Studio and about the Drupal history, everything. So now we'll jump to the decoupling architectures. What all types of decoupling are there right now? So in Drupal decoupling, there are four types basically. The fourth one is a rare case scenario, I would say, which doesn't it's not used, but yeah, it's used sometimes. It depends upon the requirement. So I'll explain four of this in detail. So first one is coupled CMS architecture. Second one is progressively decoupled architecture. Third is headless decoupling architecture, and fourth one is hybrid decoupling architecture. So yeah, the first one is the coupled CMS architecture, which is basically our Drupal CMS, and there are a couple of tweaks which we have override, and those are displayed on the page. So this is a normal CMS architecture which we use in our day-to-day life while creating Drupal sites. The second one is progressively decoupled. So in this case, what you're doing is we are exposing the APIs from the Drupal. So we have a couple of paragraphs, a content type. If you want to expose those, we use some of the modules which we have to expose those, and then those APIs which are exposed are used in the front-end framework. So this front-end framework which we are using, it would be within our Drupal architecture. It won't be outside. So that's why if you see all of the three things, which is our Drupal system, the API and the front-end framework, which can be the React, Angular, or Vue, those are used within our app. So that's why it's called progressively decoupled, which means we are using another front-end framework in our Drupal system. So without decoupling, so that's why it's called progressively decoupled CMS architecture. So this is headless decoupling architecture, which is most popular one, which we use everywhere. So basically here we are exposing the API and then we are using front end all together in a different system. which is using any of the React frameworks or libraries, any of the libraries, JS libraries, and we are displaying those on the page. So this is the headless decoupling architecture, and the fifth one is a hybrid architecture. So I can give you an example when we use this. So let's say we have our Drupal system, we have an API which is exposed, and then so this API is exposed to an front end framework. Okay, and this front end framework is altogether a different system. It's not in the Drupal system. And then we have templates. We are using normal templates. This is a normal Drupal's CMS where we are overriding the templates in Drupal, and then we are showing it over the web page. But in this case, we are actually showing this front end framework, front end code of a different system in our Drupal system using an iframe. So this is a rare case scenario where we are decoupling the uh, decoupling a particular framework, and then we are showing that in our Drupal system in an iframe. So it depends upon a scenario. So once there was a scenario where we had to do this, so that's why I thought of adding this architecture, which is a very rare case, but yeah. So these were all about the architectures which we have in Drupal. Yep. So till here we have learned about the architectures, different architectures, the Drupal from the Drupal perspective, and I can just show you an example of this for progressively decoupled basically. So we have a so we during our spare time we brought up a site which is called Dive in Drupal. So that is used for if someone is giving an exam, basically a front end exam or a back end exam certification. So we had created an app for them, which is called Dive in Drupal. So that was a progressively decoupled app which we had built long back, and so I can show you the architecture of that. Okay, so basically here we have an app. We have our components over here. So these are the components which are used in our system, and then we are calling this. So this is a front end framework in our Drupal system. So here, if you see, we have this app, which is our React library, which we are using, and we are actually calling this in our template. So I can just show you. So yeah, so here we are actually rendering our entire application. For example, all the exams, all the modules, all those components we are rendering over here in our Drupal template. So we are actually telling React to render it to this particular ID. So here we are actually showcasing a progressively decoupled architecture in this case. So I'll just show you an overview of this site. So it's a dive in Drupal. Basically, you can do mock practice test in this. Basically, for front end specialist or Drupal developer. If you are going for a Drupal developer, be a Drupal developer certification, then you can take this certification exam, mock exam. So it would be just like the replica of the exam, but it will be just a practice exam, I would say. So if we start, then the timer would start, and it would be just like the normal uh, exam which we have for certification, basically. So I'll be sharing this link so you guys can take this as a practice whenever you guys are giving any D8 or D9 certification. Uh, yeah, so I'll be sharing all of these links at the end of the session and in the chat so that you guys can take a look. So that was all about the architecture part. Uh, Now we'll come over, we'll talk about some things in accessibility. So, so, so what is accessibility? It's basically making life easier for every single individual, with or without any disabilities, or without making web easy for everyone. Basically, that's what accessibility is. So I had a so there was a law in I don't remember the name, but over there they had actually um, they had made a suit against the company. They have charged some amount because it was not accessible to all the users. So it was a very huge amount which was done, and that's all because it was not AA compliant site basically. So they didn't follow the accessibility orders. So that's the reason they had to pay a huge amount. So this happened in I think 2016 at that time. So it was a so accessibility comes into importance. We just like while we are developing, we sometimes we don't take into consideration, but it's actually a major thing in many of the countries. Um, so ADA agency is actually an American association for disability. So they had actually listed some of the core issues. So there is an article as well which is published by them. So there were a few core issues because of which we couldn't, which are not accessible. So one is the poor color contrast. Second is reliance on color to provide information. Third is lack of text alternatives or alt text on images. And the fourth one is no captions on videos. Fifth one is inaccessible online forms. And the last one is mouse only navigation rather than keyboard navigation. So color contrast basically is using the color which is not in contrast with a particular color. Let's say we are using black and black background, but we are not using um, white color. Instead of that, we are using a mid gray color, which is not good for users who can read properly. So it comes into picture in that case. And so some of the attributes basically in images we have attributes. We at times we forget to add those, but those are actually important for. So if we don't add that, then that would cause an issue. And so fourth one is no captions on videos. So basically, captions are used for reader who can't hear. So they have a disability in hearing, but the captions are not there on videos. So at that time, it causes an issue. So yeah, so these are some of the points and why we should consider accessibility as important factor. So, what all measures we can follow? Basically, semantics. Semantics comes into picture when we are developing the site at the very initial stage. We should actually map out what all structure we should follow in our site. So there is a best example for this is Mozilla semantic. So here it tells about talks about the HTML accessibilities and what all better approaches we can use to develop. Like one should be like mobile first approach that we should use, and for SEO purpose it should be good um, in terms of the layout. So it talks about the semantics which should be it should not be disregarded at times. So second one is WTC Validator. So here actually we can add any of the site, and we can check for the any issues which we have. So I'll just show you an example of WTC Validator. So if you see, this is an HTML checker, and it says there are two errors in this, and it's not following the structure of W3C. So if you see, there is an error on this. There's a start tag HTML stray, and yeah. So this is the second error. So this basically are not following the schema which is provided. So I would recommend to use this whenever we have developed a site and we want to check whether it's a W3C compliant site or not. Yeah. So after that we have WCAG, which is AA compliant. AA compliant is it consists of all the other factors like color contrast and um, many other things. Like for example, the attributes if they are missed, so they are also shown. So I'll just show you this boia.org. This is the best example. So if you submit over here your site, it will generate a report for you and it will mail to you. So this is a very important where we can check for free, basically. Uh, Fourth one is area. So area is so I can just show you the patterns and why we are using area. So we have many components on our pages. Like let's say we have button, we have alert, we have carousel, checkbox, or combo box or feed. So there are many components. Okay, so, and we want to see on button which all area should be included for readers who can't for accessibility purpose. So for buttons, actually there are certain area properties which we should be added. One is area described by, area disabled, area pressed, or area label. So this comes into picture when we are creating a button component, and by default Drupal provides those by default, but we should cross check once more when we are creating the component. Uh, and Yeah, so here if you go to this site, we can actually check what all components we have created, and accordingly we can add cross check whether we can add those areas. So this one is area rules, states and properties. So one is area expanded. So this states like when we click on accordion, it's expanded, it's set to true, and if it's not expanded, it's set to false. So this is about the area labels which we should add. And the last one is the color contrast checker. So color contrast checker is basically the same thing which we use in wave tool. In wave tool, it by default provides the all of this color checker as well. But if we just want explicit thing just to check the color, then we can use color contrast checker. Any doubts till now? Okay. You can post it on the channel. Yeah. So color schemes for accessibility. So I want to demo one quick thing which we should all use in our sites. So this property is called prefers dark scheme, color scheme. So this is actually used for in our system. It actually detects the colors in our system. If it's light based color, then accordingly we can set the color or the background color of our scheme. So let's say right now we have a light theme figure. So I'll just change the general theme to dark. Okay, so let me refresh this page. Yeah. So if you see, this has picked the dark theme. So it's using this dark theme color, and accordingly we can add the combination. Like let's say we are using a light theme, then we can add those color combinations in a site. So this is basically used for ones who has eye problems and eye contrast issue. So we can basically use these color combinations for them. Like let's say for light theme, we can use our combination like let's say color or background colors, and for dark theme we can use for dark theme those who are visually impaired and they can't see some of the colors, so they are probably using they can see light colors, so we can add color according to those specific requirements. So I just change this to light. Let me refresh this. So this is a white theme. So yeah, so yeah, this is just an example which I want to show how we can do this. color and dark color and light color. Yeah. So this is just the definition of the media query which we use. Prefers color scheme, which sets the system dark. If the system is set to dark mode, then it would act according to what. Yeah. So apart from all of this, there are certain recommendation like which I feel all the front enders should do. One is we should try out various certifications which we have on E11Y. So I can just show that to you guys. So we have certain certifications available which would enhance our thinking about accessibility more, and becoming a specialized specialist in this particular domain is very important, because we actually don't we ignore many accessibility things, and if we have a certain knowledge up to some extent, then we can be more thoughtful about what all other things we can do on accessibility. So this is one thing which we as a front enders can do. Secondly, we can look out for new tools that support accessibility with wide range of options. So, so we have this site which is called Web Accessibility Evaluation Tools List, which has n number of libraries, I would say. So even so, there are in total 167 tools, which is which is like there are many things, like even I have not explored many of those things. So one is for images, like for images as well there are certain accessibility checkers. Likewise for email, web helpers for Chrome, and etc. Like there are, it's a long list actually. So we should actually take into consideration of what requirement we have. We can actually um, do this filter and we can check. So let's say we have this, we want something to test for color blindness. So we have this color tester, which simulates the colors and design tools, and it helps. And this is actually used by a designer to create a web page for those who are visually impaired, or those who have color blindness. So they can actually use this tool to make the site, the colors and the contrast or font sizes as well, according to the site, the requirement. So likewise, there are many things. So even I have not explored many of those things, but yeah. So I highly recommend everyone to use this tool, this page as a reference in their future development. And of course, in Drupal community is very supportive in terms of accessibility, and they always try to contribute towards Drupal community, and we should always do that. Um, Drupal is very accessibility supported CMS, and so there are many modules as well which we use, inbuilt modules, and we should try to contribute more Drupal for in terms of accessibility libraries or anything which we find. And lastly, it's we should brush up our UX skills along with coding. So why I'm saying that is because if we have that process design thinking mindset in our while we are working, then it gives us, it expands our knowledge in terms of the what things are there which are not explored. So there is a site which is called Interaction Design Foundation. So they provide certain courses on UX as well as on design thinking. So I am basically taking a course from here on design thinking and UX, improving UX knowledge. So it's a very good course, and there are many sub courses in this, and we can actually gain a lot of knowledge from this. Yeah. So this is about recommendation which I have for all the front enders, and um, there are various links which we can go through for Pattern Lab or for Drupal and for SAS mixins, etc. And yeah, so those are the important. So these are the important links we can use. Yeah. So I'll be actually posting all of these links in a doc file for you guys to take a look. So I've actually noted down all the links, important links, so that everyone can take a look into it and like, yeah, explore things accordingly. So yeah, do reach out to me anytime. Okay, I'm available on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Gmail. You can mail me anytime if you have any queries or any doubts in regards to what all topics we covered today. And yes, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Any questions?